Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, June 12th, 2019. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here that price has bumped up against 2900 a few times now and has not been able to find acceptance beyond that zone. In the previous session, we had quite the overnight move through the previous high, and as soon as the RTH open came on, it pretty much sunk back down, back below those levels. And for right now, the market appears to be at least partially rejecting 2900, which is a very, very important zone here. We know our 2878 half is an important key level from January 2018 high, and that continues to be the focal point here for this market here. Can it stay above that zone, or will it see another retreat back below it? Again, from this strong low here that we have, which is 2728.75, to the current high here at 29.11 half, that gives us a midpoint here of 2820. That's a 2820 midpoint from this low to that high. If this high remains intact here, we could see at least a rotation back to the 2820 midpoint in the near term. Again, we got to see how price continues to respond here, but at the moment we are seeing at least a test below those 2878 halves, below 2880 evens basically. And if price can't hold there again, we could open up the downside into about 2820. So that's what we're looking for here to see how this responds. Overall, this market appears to have kind of overdone this upside move here, and we could be looking at another pullback at least to 2820, but this could also bring us back to recent lows and perhaps even lower. Let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ is very similar. Again, the NQ had some initial price action here, barely above 7,600. It got 3 ticks beyond that level, and that's the level we've been talking about. 7,600 was the last line of resistance here. That's where this thing kind of fell off yesterday. Again, hitting that level, going beyond it just by a few ticks, and then closing the day well off that zone. That right there is a pretty decent strong top after this strong low. And again, when you're taking that high and this low, you can get this easy midpoint right there at 72.71. That could be a very easy target here over the next 5 to 7 days. So again, we're going to see how this develops, but overall, any inability to get beyond 7,600 suggests some pullback of some magnitude. 72.71 is going to be the easy target. Back toward recent lows at 69.41 could be the next target, and again, we could even see a move beyond that into the next key level below. So again, we will see how this develops, but overall, this pullback right now, if price cannot find a way to get through 7,600 or find acceptance beyond that zone, we could be at least pulling back another 200 to 300 handles here into about 72.71 at the very least. Taking a look now at crude oil. You'll see with crude oil, we are starting to see the move down right now. Yesterday I mentioned how the 5-day range was, or rather the 3-day range was developing and coiling up. If we bring this back down to a 3-day range right here, we'll quantify that real quickly here. You'll see right here, that's the fuchsia colored bar that tells us that we are compressed compared to normal. The last time we had that was here, and we got this big breakdown, and we got the move we expected of 5 to 6 handles. This time we should get about 5 handles of movement at least again, and we're already seeing the move today, seeing a range of $1.59 so far. We have gotten the breakdown. The one thing I will caution though, we don't have to continue all the way down at the moment. One thing to keep an eye on is the 5170 to 5160 zone intraday. We had a pretty strong little bottom here around 4 a.m. Central, and then price popped up and is trying to find some absorption here off 5170s. If price can hold that zone and form a higher low, then the stops above 55 become at risk. So if there starts to be a case where by the end of the day price is back above this midpoint or back above its midpoint for the day showing rejection, then that could suggest that we are breaking through 55s. As it currently stands right now, breaking below the 5250 zone and 53 evens, that suggests more downside, but keep an eye on 5170. That's the spot there where if it breaks through that level, we see another round of weakness to the downside. Again, out of this 3-day range right here, over the next 3 days, we could see a range of about 5 handles. They don't all have to be in the same direction. It could be down and then up, and that could give us our 5 handles. It could be all down straight away. So we'll see how it develops right now, but 5170 on an intraday basis is going to be very, very important here today. Holding that level suggests a bounce, at least near term. Failing to hold that level could give us another big move down, and that could take out the 5060 level. Remember, we have 4917 below as composite VPOC, and that's going to be a key level to test here on the downside at some point. Lastly, let's take a look at gold futures. We talked about yesterday that we have pulled back off of the 1350 level. That's the zone that we talked about before. We didn't quite get it here, and anytime we come that close, it just, it seems very odd in that it needs to kind of get it. 2 days later, it finally got it and rejected, and that led to a near-term pullback. Yesterday, I mentioned that we were right in the trigger zone here, and that could lead to at least another near-term bounce to retest or kind of come back toward these highs, and we're seeing that right now. We are also seeing a little bit of a shade on top of this daily candle that's developing right now. And again, if we have kind of a lower high that develops here, this 3-point reversal, that could open up more weakness back toward the breakout point here of 1305s and perhaps back to value at 1286.70. But again, this near-term bounce has played out here so far, and we will see if a lower high develops. A lower high would go a long way toward pushing this thing back down. If price closes above the midpoint today, then perhaps we could even go a little bit higher. Again, between 1360 and 1375 is where the significant overhead resistance is. That is 5-year resistance. So if we were to push up into that zone, that would be the major area to watch for rejection, and could bring us all the way back down by some degree as it did just before. So we'll continue to watch this as it develops the rest of the day. Good luck, trade well, and I will see you in the trading room. Take care.